mute our mic. Let's all try to mute our mics and use the chats when we have comments, questions, or suggestions. Right, everything is welcome, but let's just use the right channels. So we can use the chats to drop our questions. This is going to be an interactive session where we get to ask questions too at the end of the session. So you can use the chats as the session is going on as well. You can drop your questions there. When the time comes, we'll go through them. And if you have anything that you want to raise as we are going through the session, you can raise up your hands using the.
All right, is this fine now?
Okay, welcome, Eniola. And most of all, just let's all try to enjoy the session. It's going to be an interesting one, and I hope we all get something from it. So quickly, I would introduce our guests for today's session. We'll go into the session Mastering the Art of Hackathons with Kayode and Eniola. Then we'll have a Q&A where we get to go through your own questions as well. Short announcements, then we'll be done with today's session. So today's session, Mastering the Hackathon. So in this session, we're going to look into what it takes to excel in hackathons. So whether you're a first-time participant or you've been competing in hackathons frequently, we'll look at some things that you can learn, how to choose the right hackathons to participate in, how to form the right teams, ways to go about forming your teams properly, and other effective strategies and resources to manage and succeed in hackathons, right? So our first guest is Kayode. So Kayode Makinde is a machine learning research engineer at Lawyers Hub with a background in engineering. So he's a multi-time hackathon winner, participating in numerous hackathons, while also securing, I can see the claps are coming here, securing top positions at Data Fest, Blue Chip Data and AI Summits, and others. So Kayode is passionate about AI-driven innovation, and he enjoys mentoring teams and helping individuals navigate the competitive hackathon space. So yeah, let's keep welcoming Kayode. Thank you, Kayode, for joining us today. Our second guest is Eniola. So Eniola is a machine learning engineer as well. Eniola is passionate about using AI to solve real-world problems. Right. So he has a track record as well of winning AI competitions on Kaggle and on Zindi. So Eniola also loves turning data into impactful solutions. So as we're about to start the session for today, I know on this call we have a mixture of maybe you've in hackathons before, or you're hoping to do so after this session. So just a quick, indirect question, you can drop your answer in the chat. So how many hackathons have you participated in? If you participated in a hackathon, how many have you participated in? So feel free to drop that in the chat. Let's know our, experienced people that are with us today. So yeah, going into the session as well. So Eniola and Eniola and Kayode, how you guys doing? Please let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you from my end.
All right, Kayode, how about you?
Hi, I can hear you.
All right, so yeah, I'll be posing the same question to you guys as well. So Kayode, how many hackathons have you participated in so far?
Honestly, I think it's very hard to keep track of. But recently I changed my Zindi profile and I saw like I have 19 hackathon medals. So that's at least 19 competitions on Zindi. Then across Kaggle and other platforms, maybe let's give it let me estimate 25. Let's just say 25. Yeah, I think 25 is a good approximation. I think Enela's one will be more like 3 times of that. Mine
Among
is
you guys
20.
are serial hackathon guys. Oh. Okay, Eniola, what about you?
I honestly can't count.
Okay, off the top of your head, just round estimates.
I'll give a wrong estimate if I give an estimate from my head. I've been doing competition since like I think 2020 or 2019. I can't remember now. So I can't give an estimate of the number of competitions I've joined. Some I just joined for joining's sake, even if it's not to win the prize, just to learn. Yeah.
Mm, fair.
So at the top of my head, I'm sorry guys, I'll not be able to give number.
That means there's a lot in here. Well, all right, all right. So let's go into it here. I would want us to start, you know, looking at how to get started with hackathons, right? And you mentioned there that you've been doing hackathons for a while, since you said 2020, right? I don't know, could you go into, you know, your first hackathon experience, if you can remember, and what did you learn from it as a beginner?
All right. So my first hackathon was a mix of chows and excitement. It was with Data Science Nigeria. So you guys know this thing Data Science Nigeria used to do. I think they are called Data Science Network now. So they have this boot camp they do every year. Yeah, they have this boot camp they do every year. So that was my first experience of doing a machine learning hackathon. So it was, is it 2019 or 2020 now? I think 2020 was COVID. Is it 2020? That was my first boot camp experience and my first hackathon experience, which is it was with Data Science Network. So we had a first hackathon on Kaggle that was to select people that would come for the competition, and that was a very rough challenge for me because that was my first time even trying to understand data science using Python code. So it was a very rough experience. I think when we entered the boot camp, that was when I was now gaining some understanding of, okay, this is what it is to be a machine learning engineer. This is what it is to understand how to solve data science problem. And the hackathon itself in the boot camp also was rough because I could remember I was just chasing tails in the leaderboard. I was seeing guys that were going to the top place very easily, and I was wondering what are these guys doing that I'm not doing. Although that is my first time, so I mean to come with first experience, you have to learn some stuff, right? So what did you learn from it as a beginner? As a beginner, I learned that I have a long way to go when I saw guys just running up the leaderboard. So it pushed me though to sit up, and yeah, I think that's even pushed me to check out what Zindi are doing, check out Cargo, and from there it became a story.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Kayode, what about you? How was your own first experience like?
Similarly, my first experience was a DSN boot camp qualification hackathon. But I think mine was a year after Eniola's one. Mine was 2020. So the hackathon it was my first experience, of course, and it was something that really pushed me to Zindi. I was not even familiar with Zindi at all. I didn't know what Zindi was. It was a big learning experience for me. I remember I was just excited actually. The major sentiment I had throughout the hackathon was actually excitement. I was like, even though I was not ranking very high, I ranked like initially when I made my first submission, I ranked in the top 50. I did not know that hackathons were that crazy. So I ranked in top 50. I was happy. I was very happy that. So does this mean I'm a top 50 data scientist in Nigeria? Like I was just that kind of joy. Eventually, people started submitting. I did not know. People started submitting as the competition went on, and I dropped, and I was like 300 and something, and I was at risk of not attending the hackathon. Then I kept improving my solutions. the way I could, just trying different things. Like I started using things that I thought was very innovative, as nobody could be better than this. If I do this, I was going to win. I'll submit my score like this, and I'll see my score. I'll be disappointed. I started the hackathon really pushed me. It was a learning experience. I experimented with models. That was the first time I used XGBoost. XGBoost was a life changer at the time. Like XGBoost was like wow, like just using XGBoost alone was very, very good. Like it feels like a godlike model at the time. So yeah, the hackathon was a very, very good learning experience for me. And I think yeah, my major takeaway from the hackathon was the hackathon got me excited with the world of machine learning and especially machine learning hackathons.
Yeah, I think that first time experience really opens one's eyes to a lot of things. So, I mean, after your first time and subsequent hackathons that you've done, what is your how do you go into hackathons now? Right? How do you prepare for a hackathon? And are there specific skills or tools that you think one must have or develop if you want to, really succeed in a hackathon? So, Kayode, yeah, can go ahead and answer.
Yet to succeed in an hackathon, I think one aspect that I'll just focus on the part that is less talked about is trying to have domain knowledge on that field. So if an hackathon is on, let's say, health, a particular type of disease, detecting a particular type of disease, you would want to just look into research papers done on that field just a little bit and look at previous hackathon solutions on related fields. Like Kaggle provides that. To prepare for an hackathon, honestly, before the hackathon is actually announced, I don't think I do much until the hackathon is announced, because it's when the hackathon is announced or when the hackathon is open, you can see the data, you can see like the exact problem statement. So to but the specific skills and tools you need to win an hackathon, of course, you need to learn a programming language, either Python or R, but I would not advise anyone to learn R now. Programming language, your tech stack, your basic tech stack for the domain of your hackathon, whether it's computer vision or tabular machine learning. Then also, since most hackathons allow team, you need a very, very good team lineup. Like you need to leverage on that. You need to leverage on team proper, select your team members carefully and put in the effort. So yeah, I think it's a mix of both the hard skills and the soft skills to win an hackathon.
Fair enough, fair enough. Eniola, anything you want to add to that?
I think he has said it all actually. So the way I will usually prepare for an hackathon is exactly what he said. That is if the problem statement is already given before the hackathon starts. So you want to get a lot of domain knowledge. You want to understand what you are getting yourself into. So it's when you understand what you are getting yourself into, you'll be able to even build useful features that would rank top in the leaderboard that would help your model perform better. But I think we are still going to get into more questions relating to that. So I'll just stop here and say domain knowledge is very useful in preparing for that hackathon.
Yeah, yeah. And Kayode touched on one thing as well, which is like your team, right? Building the right team, selecting the right people. So going into that, how do you form or find the right team? What are you looking out for the people you are bringing on to work with you on a particular competition? So yeah, anyway, I can start.
So there's a sort of bias in finding team actually, because most time if you look at this competition, most time people just use their friends that they know okay is good, just pack their friend and put in. I do that as well. Sometimes I'll just test professor. There's a guy called Professor. I don't know if some of you guys will know him. It's called Professor. I just test him that alpha there's this competition on ground. Can you jump in? and that's it. There's no research that okay, does he have this skill? Does he not have this skill? So sometimes it's not usually the best method in it's not usually the best method in getting the right team because for some problem, I know there are guys that are very good in geospatial analysis, and there are some competitions that are just focused on that kind of problem, geospatial analysis. So you need to find people that are actually good in that kind of problem, and maybe they help what your own skill, right? So that's what I'll say. That's what I
Mm. Kelly, what about you? How do you go about picking your own team?
Yeah, like you said, there is a lot of it depends on a lot of the major factors. The major factor is actually, should I say, chemistry between you and the person. Because these hackathons, you want someone that you know knows the stuff, and someone that you have that has an understanding with you, someone that trusts you, and someone you trust. So to have a balanced hackathon team, you need yourself, you need to actually be a an established performer. Like you don't have to win many hackathons, but you still to get the best team members, you need to have participated well in some hackathons. That way you can even attract better hackathon members. And also I would also talk about you need to try the hackathon first as a solo. Just try it and see how well you perform a little. Sometimes hackathons allow you to firstly start solo, then form team later. So how well you perform as a person, if you rank very high, even you yourself, you can be pushed by other teams. Other people can come and push you. So to finding the right team is not just about you wanting people, about you getting the top performers in that field or top performers in the hackathon. It's also about you looking at people that are ready to team up with you, people that also respect you in some way, or people that you have trust in. Just that chemistry. Yeah, I'll just add that to it. Everything I said is valid, and I'm just adding this to it.
Yeah, yeah. Chemistry is key. I mean, you guys be working on something together. I think dealing with is that a lot of people choosing your friends or people you know is just because it's easier, right? So most times it might not work out, it might not have the skills, but it's easier. So with so many hackathons out there, you guys yourselves you participate on competitions across different platforms, right? How do you decide the ones to participate in? You know, are you looking out for specific things? Is it about maybe the prize money, the opportunity to maybe learn something new, or just to network and meet other people? So, what exactly do you guys look out for when you are participating in hackathons? And what are the ones that you've seen or you've participated in that are best for people in the ML and AI space? So yeah, Kari, you could go first.
Okay, so in deciding hackathons, I would like to first thing I would do is just to this one I learned this the hard way by participating in an hackathon, winning, and nothing from the organizers. No message from the organizer. It was hosted on Kaggle as an in-house. I think they call it in-house hackathon, like those private. It was a private hackathon on Kaggle. So first thing is you want to kind of like verify the hackathon and read the rules to be sure you actually qualify, so that eventually when you rank high, when you win, you want to be able to win the prize money. You want to be recognized as a winner in the hackathon. So things I look out for specifically is I look out for hackathons that relate to my background, my skills. I don't think I've participated in any speech hackathon before because I'm not very, very familiar with speech processing. I don't think the recent LLMs hackathon, I've not really participated in them because like I said, it's not really my focus. You look at your skills, your resources. So, for example, I saw a winning solution interview by an hackathon, established hackathon winner on Zindi. Our username was Plato. I think Eniola will know her. she wins computer vision competition a lot. So I saw they asked her about her setup for winning the computer vision hackathon, and what I saw still shocked me to today. She said she has like multiple GPU stacks. I've even forgotten the GPU stack, but I remember her RAM. She had like she said the system, the what she was using, the setup she was using had 256 gig RAM. RAM, oh, not ROM, 256 gig RAM. So looking at that, it's if you are imagine trying to compete against someone like that, it's almost that is almost pointless. You really need a lot of skills to be able to balance that playing field. So you want to focus on an hackathon that you have a good standing, not just not just an hackathon you just try. If you want to win, you have to look for an hackathon that you have a relatively good standing. I've seen a lot of winning solutions on Kaggle where they say like they have GPUs, they will say they have one small GPU, they have 3070, the NVIDIA RTX, and you say have a small GPU, and they would run their models. This one said he run his model over the weekend. Over the weekend, his winning solution model he ran it over the weekend. Where can I do that in Nigeria? Is it with NEPA or with MTN? So yeah, you want to just look at those things. And a last thing I look out for is because of my moral ethics, I look out for competition. This one is not very common. I look out for to ensure that the competition encourages fairness, because some competitions are easily gamed. Like there's a way, maybe the competition was hosted before with the same data set. So it can be easily gamed. Like people can just manipulate and have high scores. So I look out for competitions that don't have that. If a competition has that, since I know that I can't do that to get high score, I can't manipulate, I can't do things that are not morally upright, are not ethical to get high score. I just pull back from that competition. If a competition has that and they don't have I don't see a way they can verify and catch cheaters, I just I reduce my energy from the competition. So yeah, those are things I look out for.
And you know, what about you?
Yeah, I think I shared the same bias with Kayode. So, like I said, the first thing I'll look out for as well is the data. If my system can handle the data, because there are a lot of competitions you can jump in, and even to download the data set might be the first challenge. Imagine a data set of about 200 gig. Where are you going to store that one? So first thing I look at is storage. If my where I'm going to be processing the data can handle it. Then also the problem statement, like you said as well, does it match my skill sets? Then also I look at time frame. Why I look at time frame is there are some competitions I went and the time frame can be sickening. So imagine you join a competition and the time frame for the competition is in 3 months. Most time I just get tired of that kind of timing. So I just prefer I'm done in a month or 2 months and I'm out of it. Then also one thing to look out for is price. Does the price actually match the kind of competition, the problem you are solving? Because sometimes these people just want to use your skill, get a solution and just get out. Some people do like that as well. So specific hackathons for people interested in AI and ML. I think Zindi is a place to go to. And Zindi is very friendly in terms of their data size. You can easily get beginners competition there to get started with. So if you're just starting out in hackathons and you're interested in machine learning, just check out Zindi. They have really good beginners hackathon. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. You mentioned, I think the main thing Kelly mentioned is, and you also echoed, was the resource issue, right? Knowing if you have enough resources, compute power to even participate in those hackathons. And but I know, regardless of whatever constraints there might be, you guys have won some, you've participated in some, and there has definitely been some things that you've probably maybe done or put in place to ensure that you win, these hackathons. So um yeah, so let's look at maybe one project that you've worked on and it was successful, and just help us see what differentiates a winning project from an average one, right? Share an example of a hackathon project that you worked on and what made it stand out. So, Kayode, share one of your projects with us.
So to answer the first question, what separates an average project from a winning one? Random state. That sometimes is as simple as that. It's the random state, it's the random seed that separates a winning hackathon from an average one. Because many times the hackathon is so close that just a simple random state can determine who wins and who does not win. Also, public leaderboard, private leaderboard is a big factor. So hackathons that have public and private leaderboards, there's usually a big shake-up. So what separate many times actually, many times actually, what makes your work stand out in hackathons that have presentation? I think you said something about what the judges look out for is you being different. You being different. While your hackathon is, of course, a technical problem, you want to present it in a non-technical way, in an interesting way. You want to use storytelling, proper storytelling, to ensure that the judges follow. And you want to present, your presentation is very important. In hackathons that have presentation, that's it. Like if you are a 90% accuracy and 91% accuracy, while it is a big gap on a leaderboard hackathon, in presentation, in an hackathon that the final round is presentation, that does not make any more difference. So my solution to that, or my suggestion to that, is that have a good technical build, a good technical stack. Your hackathon should be very, very solid technically, proper code, but also your presentation is very important. The code should be well documented. Some hackathons require reports on your solution. You should report it very well. Let me share a little insight on a recent hackathon I worked on, the Data First hackathon, Data First Africa hackathon. So one of the mistakes, or one of the mistakes I saw from teams, I would say technically our work was not top 5 or even top 3, because I saw the GitHub repos of some work. And one of the mistakes I saw there is that they focus a lot on the technical aspect of things, knowing that these judges just want insight. In the real world, your client does not want to know whether you use Python or you use R. What he wants to know is the solution. How does this help my business? What are the results this bring? How does this provide insight? If maybe it's a tip I should even share, something I should share is even the hackathon, the data first hackathon, even till today, which means they will never ask, is the team, the judges never saw our code. We did not even submit our GitHub repository because our report was very detailed to that level that you could feel the process all along, and you could also see the impact the solution was going to give. So a part that people need to learn, or what makes a winning hackathon stand out sometimes, is randomness and good presentation.
Thank you for that. Actually, we're going to come back to the question around presentation and how to properly pitch or demo your project. But yeah, Eniola, would you like to hear maybe one hackathon project you worked on and what you think made it stand out from other people's own?
All right. So Kayode has talked about hackathons that involves presentation. So I think I'll just start with hackathons that does not involve presentation. So for example, Kaggle kind of hackathon and Zindi kind of hackathon. So I'll be using, there was this competition I participated. It was called, I think, Financial Inclusion. I think we are supposed to predict who is going to be doing some payments. So there are usually 4 approach for improving your model, because this, for example, Kaggle and Zindi hackathons, what you're expected to do is build a model that can stand out in the leaderboard. So you're expected to be able to improve, either is your accuracy you're trying to improve, or you are trying to improve, if it is a regression model, you are trying to improve maybe the RMS score or the mean squared error. So for this kind of hackathons, there are usually four approaches to tell people when they ask me how do you win competition. So the first one is improvement with data. That's the first one. The second one is with algorithm. Just stay with me. I'll go back to each one and do a bit of explanation. Then the third one is via tuning, and the fourth one is ensemble. So the first one is when I say data. So most competition will provide data for you. They'll provide data for you in terms of train and test sets. So there are various ways you can improve your model via the data. So the first and the most basic way is through feature engineering. So what do I mean by feature engineering? So feature engineering is just basically adding more features through existing features. So for example, the competition I participated in, the financial inclusion, we are given latitude and longitude, which is the address of the geographical location of, I think, the people, or was it bank? I can't remember. So one thing I did was I did a reverse geoencoding. So reverse geoencoding will just give you the address of the place using the latitude and longitude. So that's one feature is already created. So there are various kind of feature you can create. You can just add features together. You can multiply features together based, you do this based on domain knowledge, which we talked about previously, that you need to actually understand the kind of problem you are solving. This way, you're able to create good feature. Then the second one I talked about is algorithm. So algorithm here comes with the kind of model you build for the problem. So there are various algorithms that you can use, and you can tailor the algorithm based on the solution you're trying to solve. Then also the third one is tuning. So tuning is doing some hyperparameter tuning and trying to look for the best parameter that will fit into the model of the problem you're trying to solve. And the last one is ensemble. You can see people go over trying to ensemble. I've seen guys that ensemble more than 10 models together. So assembly is one way to go also. So this is what you just need to do. Out of those four methods I mentioned, you just need to pick one. You pick one out of the four methods. Either you start with the data, you start with the algorithm, or you start with your tuning on the ensemble. Once you pick one algorithm to try from the choosing method, and you just compare the results. You try maybe a feature engineering, see how it works, go back, reiterate, compare it with another kind of feature engineering, just go all over the place. It's like you are trying to iterate. Just pick one out of the four. Okay, let's say I want to start with my data first. Just pick a basic model, try and do a lot of feature engineering, test it with a basic model, see the results. Then, okay, try and look for maybe an advanced model, test it with your feature, compare the two solutions and see how they work. Then if you see that there's no improvement, move to ensemble. Just machine learning is about iterating and looking at what works best. There's no one-way method to winning an hackathon, actually. I think what made my own standout was the feature engineering. So I built a lot of feature, and one that was very useful was the geoencoding, converting the latitude and longitude and looking for the proper address, then selecting some features from the address. Yeah.
Thank you very much. As you were talking, I had to carry my notes and jot down some of the things you were saying because they were really insightful. Kayode touched on something earlier, which was, talking about the talking about hackathons that have presentations, right? How to properly pitch and nail the submission, the presentation properly. You mentioned about how if they are judges, they are not necessarily going to see your code, right? It's the presentation and the insights they are really looking at. So I think I'll pose the question to maybe Eniola, because Kayode talked about it a bit. How do you think teams can communicate their ideas and the work that went into it properly in a presentation? And maybe some things that you've also learned about how to do a proper presentation or submission of your project.
Mm. So this is something I'm working on myself. So I won't say I'm a pro in this, but I think one extremely important thing to be able to communicate your idea is if you yourself clearly understand the problem, then you'll be able to tell and show why the solution you have built matters through maybe a prototype you already have, and you'll be able to explain the impacts. So I think the crucial part here is sit with yourself and try to understand and define the problem you are trying to solve, and also be able to explain properly why the solution you are creating matters. And most time, what judges look out for is the innovation. Is it a unique approach and the feasibility of what you are building, if it can be implemented in the real world, and also if it have a meaningful impact.
Okay, okay. Kayode, is there anything you want to add to that?
And nothing much. I've mentioned it earlier, and Eniola has even added more. So, like you said, you want to ensure that what you are presenting is something you fully understand, and you want to let the judges know that, and you want to show your innovation, your thought process, not just you want to tell them why you are doing this, and and what you are doing. You don't have to tell them the code behind, just why you are doing this and the result it will bring. Yeah, just a storytelling approach. And I agree with Eniola. It's something I'm also working on myself. Many people will disagree, but yeah, I don't think I'm very good in presenting. So yeah, just and general presentation tips. We have books on presentation, books on speaking, and all of that. General presentation tips work. You want to maintain eye contact with the judges. You want to have a good stage presence if it's a physical presentation. And honestly, this might it still matters. Your look still kind of matters. You want to dress well, good enough, just good enough. For some reason, it still affects the human eye. They are still human beings, and those things still affect them. Also another tip is you want to make your team as inclusive as possible, especially in the gender side. So you can put in, if you have, you can try to ensure inclusivity or try to get that inclusivity point, having a female team member. Some hackathons even compulsory it, but even if it's not compulsory, having a female team member, someone from a, an underserved community. Just I'm just using their language, don't mind me. Yeah, so underserved community, underrepresented community really boosts your the way judges view your solution. I think, yeah. And also, let me just say this. I know this is going back to the point Eniola said. I'm just telling Eniola, thank you for those tips. I'll be using them in my hackathons. What he said on morning hackathons and the four method approach. I've taken note of them and I'll be using them in my hackathon. So yeah, that's it from my end.
Yeah, those 4 points were really mighty. Thank you very much, Kayode. So if you have questions, please you can start dropping them in the chat. We'll be rounding off shortly. We're moving into like the last stage of questions. So if you have questions you'd like to ask Kayode or Eniola, or you have comments or suggestions as well, you can either drop them in the chat or get ready to voice them. All right. So you guys have been doing hackathons for a while, and I just want you to talk on, maybe your motivations behind participating in hackathons. Um, okay, yeah. So your motivations behind participating in hackathons. Um, why would you say you're a serial hackathon or a serial competitor? And what ways has it worked out or translated into different parts of your career, so to say?
If you don't mind, I can go first.
Yeah, sure.
So why I said I want to go first is because My first job as a data scientist, I got it through Zindi. Zindi is a competition platform. I'm sure you guys know Zindi. Zindi is like Kaggle, but most time they host data that data they collect from Africa. They have started hosting worldwide data now, but when I joined Zindi, most time it was always African data. Either we are solving one thing from Ghana, we are doing one thing from one local, not local, we can't call our African country local. But you understand what I'm saying. It's it's basically African country that was their focus before. So have you used that carton to boost your career? Yes, and I'm telling you, you can use it to boost your own career as well. So this was how it happened. So I was just doing the competition for price sake. I was not even thinking about job those period. Then all of a sudden, Zindi added to their platform a job banner. Then I saw it and just decided to shoot a shot. I applied to this company called Benchy AI. So Benchy AI, what they do is AI for healthcare. That's basically what they do. And I saw a data scientist role there. And what they were asking for, funny enough, was not even, I did not meet the requirement. I saw you must have a PhD, you must do this, you must do, and I was just looking for internship. It was year four. No, it was year four, I think first semester. So we were meant to do 6 months internship. I was just looking for internship. I just decided to apply. I applied and they reached out, and I was wondering, okay, why are these guys reaching out? I applied for applying sake. I was not applying that, okay. I was just, okay, let me try that kind of application. So I just sent it to them. And they reached out. I had the interview. The interview was a bit long. I think I had one technical interview. We had two behavioral interview. I spoke with the CEO and spoke with the HR. Then they sent an email that I can start with them, and that was it. So definitely you can boost your career with, you can get a job participating in hackathon. Said is here. Maybe Said would would tell us his own. I just saw Said popped in now. So beyond price, hackathon, you can actually use hackathon to kickstart and push yourself in the world of getting gigs, because hackathon simulates how we are going to work in real life. Might not be as much the pressure, but you get a feel of working with dirty data. Yeah, so I'll leave it to Kayode.
Yeah, Kayode, how's your own experience been, and what are your own motivations as well? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would answer the experience part. For the motivations, I think we all know the motivations, the motivation. So hackathon has really, really helped me, even beyond the prize money. I think, yeah, beyond the prize money, beyond the prize money. Let me share a recent, quite relatively recent story. I After I had around October, I won two hackathons. That was the Data Fest Africa. I won Data Fest Africa, and okay, it was not an hackathon and DSN Bootcamp. I won Mr. Algorithm and Best Poster. So yeah, let's give it to the Nigerian of the week. Please, Said is on the call. Let's give honor to whom honor is due. Let's just react for Said. So
This kind whining with this one like this.
yeah, so hackathons have really, so after the hackathons win, and this is something I would encourage people to do, share your hackathon win on Twitter, on LinkedIn. What you get beyond the win is more than the money. What you get beyond the win is more than the money. The money is like one of the smallest part of the hackathon. So just like the day after, or even the day I shared the DSN bootcamp winners, I got reached out by a company, by the CEO or the founder of the company, and they want me to work with them. Just reaching out that she would like us to have a discussion. discussion. I knew that discussion is something that will be good for me. So I said, sure, sure. Eventually, when we had a discussion, we just it was, I won't even call it an interview, it was just a discussion. And the next thing she said was like, how much will it cost to engage me for a month, just as a trial period? And the amount they were offering as trial period was more than my salary, like more than 2 times my salary, my main salary at my work that time. Just as trial period, just to engage me, because she said she doesn't like using people for free and all of that. And beyond that, so that's just one example of how hackathons help. So beyond the prize money, they have used them, I've been using them, I've been spamming them in any application I'm applying for. Like, I want this hackathon, I want this hackathon. For grad school, for people interested in grad school, for people interested in fellowships, these hackathons are they send a signal that you are good in what you do. Yeah, that you know what you're doing. So apart from even jobs, even if it's academia you're going into, anything you're going into, it's just a strong signal of your competence. So yeah, that's a way hackathon has helped me.
Absolutely. It was part of I added it to my resume when applying for Cornell. I think that was even what's part of what made them choose me. I would not doubt the presence of Almighty God. Yeah, glory to God for it. So I'm saying that the I'm saying adding those achievements as honors and awards did a team there as well.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I hope we're hearing, we should find hackathons that you want to participate in now. So yeah, please prepare your questions if you have any, or if you have any suggestions. We're about to round up soon. This is the last question. So just on just to close off a round off, what advice would you give to people that are looking to participate for the first time, and for people that have been participating but they haven't won yet? Eniola, yeah, Eniola.
So advice for first-time participants and those yet to win a competition. If you look at the sky, there's enough space for everybody to fly. That's the best advice I can give somebody that is just starting out. Don't, don't look at it that these guys have been competing for long and just to jump in. Don't be afraid. Just put yourself out there. Join the art competitions and get your hands dirty. From practicing and practicing, you definitely get better. You definitely get better. Just throw yourself out there.
This idea. Kayode, what about you? What advice do you
Yeah,
have for?
yeah, as Eniola said, you have to there's enough space for everybody to fly. I'm quoting Said here. Well, I think that's kind of ironic coming from me. But yeah, there's actually enough space for everybody to fly in the hackathon space. When I started out too, we had the likes of Eniola there, like they were like, how are these ones doing it? We had the Zindi guys, Mikadi, anybody that knows Mikadi, Professor was there. They were ahead of me and they are still ahead of me. I'm not saying that, but yeah, there's always going to be people ahead of you, and you can just even learn from them. So you should not be discouraged from participating in competitions. In the words of Dr. Bayo, I stole this one. He said the best way to learn to cut a tree is by cutting a tree. So the best way to learn to win hackathons is by participating in hackathons. You would learn one lesson or the other every time. So the things you learn from an hackathon are sometimes more valuable than the price of the hackathon itself. But please go for the prize if you can. So yeah, just learning, just practice more and more, and you don't have to be top three to win. The knowledge there is a win. So every hackathon you participate is a win. So how do they say it? Your Eventually the people you see as heroes will eventually become your colleagues. The people you see as heroes, when you practice enough, when you win those things, they the gap gets closer. Like people you see as heroes eventually become your colleague, and it's a joy for both persons. Like it's a joy in both ways.
Right. Just to add a bit to it, if you're just starting out, me and Professor, we are going to be hosting competition once in every 2 months for beginners. So that's one way you can play around and get started in the world
Yeah.
of competition.
Thank you for that. Beginners like myself would like to participate.
We are going to
Why?
kick you out if I see you there. We'll kick you out.
All right, thank you very much, Eniola and Kayode. So now we'll be having questions. So if you have any questions, if you'd like to, ask directly or you want to ask in the chats, just feel free to drop them now. So I'll just go on and start picking the ones that I see here. Okay, so Shinwendu is asking, how can we get updates on this competition? Eniola Kayode, is there a way you guys get your updates on competitions?
I'm not too sure. One approach is following these competitions platforms. So yeah, there's a website for that. There's mlcontest.com. I would get the link and share it on chat. mlcontest.com. They aggregate competitions from all platforms. They collect it and share it. So you can just get an overview on different hackathons and the category of the hackathon and all on different platforms. So mlcontest.com. Then other hackathons you want to follow, be involved, since I believe you're talking about ML hackathons here. So just check Zindi ones in a while, check Twitter, LinkedIn. If you are following, you would see all these organizations that do hackathon yearly. Just follow them this year. Even though you missed this year, you missed last year's one, follow them already, because next year's one you would be up to date. Just follow relevant accounts on Twitter and LinkedIn. And yeah, that would help. You would be more up to date in hackathons. And I don't know if I've mentioned this, that network, like you need to network with fellow hackathon members. We've not mentioned this, but yeah, networking with hackathon members, hackathon competitors. I think I've collaborated with I've collaborated with a lot of hackathon participants across different countries in Africa, and it would help you eventually. When they see an hackathon, they will share with you and all of that. So yeah.
Okay, we have another question here. If you have any other question, please. Okay, she's also asking about the competition you mentioned, Eniola. How do we get updates about that? Yeah.
So we currently do have a website. I'm not sure if I think it is up. Okay.org.
Okay, I've dropped the links to the websites in the chat. So anyone that is interested can check it out.
It's .net, sorry.
All right, thank you. So yeah, last question, so we can round off. So Usman is asking, do you apply specifically for just ML AI hackathons or open hackathons where you can pitch your own solutions, maybe projects that you've built and you just want to pitch it there? So what approach is it for you guys?
For me personally, I prefer ML hackathons that you just have leaderboards, so I don't start preparing slides to pitch. I prefer that one because it's usually easier. I do apply for the two kinds depending on my availability, but my preference is for the first one.
Okay, Kayode, what about you?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I got the question. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, so he's asking if you just apply for ML AI hackathons or you apply for open hackathons where you can pitch maybe solutions that you've built already.
Actually, I applied for both. That is not, it's not a deal breaker for me on any end. If other, like whether I need to pitch or there's no need for pitching, it's not a deal breaker on any end. So it's just the other factors that determine it. But lately, I've been getting a couple. Lately, there are some that will require pitching, and I'm down for that. So I'm down for it that time.
All right. Thank you. So the last one. Okay, I think we already spoke about this on the call about the best way to develop one's skills and why participating in hackathons. So yeah, well, I think we'll end this session. Thank you very much, Eniola Kayode, for joining us today. Um, so thank you very much. A round of applause for them. So quickly, I would just like to share some of the events we have coming up soon. So International Women's Day is in March, and we're going to have an event around that. So watch out for that. They'll also be having another technical session in March. I hope you enjoyed today's session. We'll have an even more insightful and more engaging technical session again in March. So watch out for these two events. So yeah, make sure to follow us on X and on LinkedIn as we drop more information about some of these events and other things that will be coming up soon. Uh, so yeah, feedback. We'd like to hear from you. Anything you'd like us to improve on, suggestions, things you'd like us to add in future sessions, please feel free to reach out to us. And yeah, with that, we bring today's session to a close. Thank you guys for joining once again. Thank you, Eniola. Thank you, Kayode, for your time. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.